Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and the lessons we teach our players through Dungeons and Dragons, and what lessons are worth teaching, and specifically the importance of sequencing, right? And so specifically today we're going to talk about only this action, only now, only me. That's the lesson, okay? So we have this incredibly unique privilege of running these Dungeons and Dragons games for 4 players, on a Sunday night, and we get there, and your number of players and your night might differ, right? But I'm just citing a specific example, and we have this ability to teach IRL lessons to our Dungeons and Dragons players, because we are going to put them into situations and we're going to put them into worlds where the situations and the things that happen, they either are not going to be exposed to this in their real world, in the real world, to learn these lessons at low cost. We can learn incredibly important IRL lessons at very low cost in Dungeons and Dragons that we simply can't do anywhere else. It's this unique opportunity, right? So if you care about your players, and if you're a strong enough dungeon master to say, I can teach IRL lessons with the Dungeons & Dragons world that I am giving, then you can move forward on this. It's also very important to understand, too, that you very well may be teaching IRL lessons in your D&D game when you think you're not. So be aware of that, too, okay? But here's this IRL situation that just happened for me really taught me very clearly this powerful lesson, and I think this is exactly the kind of lesson we should use Dungeons and Dragons to teach. And the lesson was only this action, only now, only me. All right, so what happened? So my daughter is a senior in high school, and she just had a wonderful moment where she was in a fantastic, really fantastic play, right? High school play. It was the high school play, right? She's been in the high school drama club from freshman year all the way to senior year, and this was quite literally her time to shine, on the stage, right? And she had a big prominent speaking role. She was a star in the play, right? And so my daughter was, fulfilling her role as a star in the play. My son, who's a freshman in high school, he agreed when asked to do the grunt work, right? And so me and my son both do slides at church, which used to be slides and has grown massively in the amount of responsibility and technical skill that is required for a whole bunch of reasons. So we're back of the room guys who do the tech and the audio, right? Who do both tech and audio. And so, he got kind of like, involved in this project because he literally has this skill. He's done it, literally probably, close to 100 times, and he's quite skilled at it, right? So for the last 2 weeks, he gets involved with the high school musical, and he's doing this grunt work of, backstage, just like nobody's, my daughter, she received 25 to 50 accolades and, bouquets of flowers and and chocolates, and she received, she was received as a star. Nobody even knew, my son had done his job when it was all over. It was very low key, just grunt work, right? But there was something special that happened that I was really fascinated by. It was unfortunate, but it was really also enlightening, right? So 2 weeks before all this goes down, like about 2 weeks, actually almost exactly when he got the job, he injured his knee. My youngest son injured his knee, and it was painful, and it was a significant wound, right? And so 2 weeks go by, and there was only 2 nights for the play. It was Friday and Saturday night, and Friday night went spectacular, right? But on Saturday morning, my son injured his knee again, right? The same knee, right? Re-injured it, right? And he was in incredible pain. Like, he was in a lot of pain, and I could tell him, I was like, oh my gosh, holy cows. And then I realized, and I was like, hey, you're the back of the room guy. I can do this for you. Let me get in there and do the play tonight for you, because, and trust and believe, there was no backup for him, right? Like, because this thing was ran, we're in a March 2020 world, right? You might have an understudy that will understudy multiple roles, but no one's understudying to do the half the audio tasks and all of the lighting tasks, which is my son's responsibility. So I knew how to do lighting and audio tasks from my church work, and he's like, hey, listen, Dad, there were like 5 mistakes that happened last night. I wrote those all down. I know what needs to happen tonight, right? And I got to fix that when I go in at 5 o'clock and I mic everybody. I have to mic them right. There were some issues that happened last night, and I had to manage them on the fly. I have to do all that. I'm the only one who knows it, right? Also, there's like 25 different lights. They all have to be set up, and the sequences all have to go, and all the sequences have to be right. Right? He's like, I've been working on this for 2 weeks, 2 to 4 hours a day for 2 weeks. No one knows this but me, right? And I was like, oh my gosh. And what he said was, only this action. I show up at 5, and I mic everybody. I get the lights set at 6:45, and then I sequence for 2.5 hours during this play, right? And only that action will make it so that people don't suffer. What was the suffering? There were 3 senior girls who this was their time to shine. They had poured time and effort and done scrub work, during their first, few years in the drama club, and they had worked their way up so that this moment they could show the world what they could perform on stage, right? And quite literally shine. And if the spotlight don't hit them, they don't shine, right? And everybody goes, oh, what an amateurish, dumpster fire that was, because it was lit wrong and mic'd wrong, right? But instead, my son was like, only this action, only right now, only me. And I was stunned, because I was like, oh my gosh, my junior high, my freshman high school son knows that there are times in life where only one action will suffice. It has to happen immediately, and it has to come from the right person. And so while people in this world lack that wisdom and clearly have not learned that lesson, my son's not one of them. And I was really proud of him. You have lots of adventures you're going to give to your players, and it's totally okay for there to be 19 adventures, right? Maybe even 49 adventures where you're like, you could do this with 3 different paths. You can get people to help you. You can even fail the task and allow some other team to finish it. But 1 out of 50, it's got to be only this action, only now, only me, right? There are times in life where there's a pivotal thing that happens, and if you don't do the right action exactly in the moment it needs to be done, and you take the responsibility that others literally don't have the power to do, then the world suffers. My freshman son, high school son, knows that lesson, all right? I hope others in the world learn it. And we have the opportunity to teach it next week at our table in Dungeons & Dragons. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing. Wolverines!